Welcome to episode number 30 of Hoop Talk Fanatics. I am here with my co-host, Chris Corn, and we have a lot to talk about since tonight is opening night in the NBA, and it's an awesome feeling to have NBA back, and I'm really excited for this upcoming season and for everything Sixers to be specific, and I'm sure Chris Corn is excited to have his Memphis Grizzlies back, and it's going to be a very exciting season.
You said it, Alex. Both of our teams have exciting seasons coming up. Grizzlies and Sixers. A lot of expectations for both our teams after how these teams have been built this offseason, how last season went for our teams, and just the NBA as a whole. There are a lot of teams a lot of star players who were injured last year who are coming back. We got the LA teams, how the Nets going to go. So many big storylines, and there's, I don't see a major front runner. It's like no like super team or anything. Like there's a lot of good basketball teams, and it's going to be an exciting season for sure.
So let's start off tonight's matchup: Sixers against Celtics. So what are your thoughts on tonight's matchup, and who do you think has the better edge of winning the outcome?
This one's really interesting because there's a lot of storylines for both teams. You got the Celtics, all their drama. There's
Mm-hmm.
some injuries, I believe, because Robert Williams was injured, so he should be out. I should have double checked that, but yeah, he's out. And Gallinari, he was a big addition for them. He's not going to be playing, but new pieces on both sides. You got Malcolm Brogdon on the Celtics. The Sixers added PJ Tucker, Anthony Melton, which aren't necessarily as notable, but having two big time role players like that who can play major minutes and help in a playoff season is big. And it's going to be interesting to see how they manage those rotations all season. But yeah, for the Sixers, I'm really excited to see kind of how James Harden's the main guy. I think a lot of people are really looking after. You know what we're gonna get out of Joel Embiid. He's that big time guy. He's gonna be an MVP candidate again. Maybe he can win this year. Who knows? We'll see. But Harden's the one I'm interested to see. I'm interested to see what kind of because I think Tyrese Maxey's he's gonna take another step, big time scorer. Will James Harden be more of a facilitator, like consistently? Because we saw that a lot last season. I feel like it worked pretty well,
Mm-hmm.
but we're going to need him to pick his spots, be more aggressive in some instances as well. I'm excited to see how the offense looks this tonight, most notably with James Harden and Tyrese Maxey.
I'm I'm definitely feeling a huge game for Tyrese Maxey tonight. As I texted you last night,
I
say that
I think you're right.
yeah. Um, I mean, I mean, you can't, you can never like what his attitude is. He's always happy. He's
He
never,
is.
he's never satisfied. He goes into every game with with a competitor mindset, and he's a big addition to this team. And I think that in the long run, this team can for sure make sound in the playoffs. And I feel like they have the, the mentality of possibly getting to the NBA Finals.
It it's right there. I mean, you said it. Like what I talked about on Maxey. I think that Maxey's the guy that the Sixers are going to need to be a big time scorer this season for them. Like they have a great roster, but they need him to take another step. And getting his confidence in this early on in the season is important. So I think that's going to be a focal point of their offense tonight. And then defensively, I'm interested to see how they kind of defend, how that matchup with Jason Tatum is going to go. They got a couple different guys they can throw at him. How's PJ Tucker's role going to look early in the season? Because he's an older guy. So how much do they ask out of him defensively over the course of 82 games in the regular season? So it'll be interesting to see what the matchup kind of how they game plan that tonight. But you definitely want to set the tone early in the season. You're not going to be laid back like these guys are ready to roll. So you're definitely going to give it a go tonight, give it your all. But over the course of 82 game season, it'll be interesting to see how they kind of manage some of the things with their rotation. Also, one other guy, um, I wanted to ask you about. Matisse Thybulle didn't get that rookie extension. What are your thoughts on him going into the season? And what do you expect from him early on tonight, and especially tonight?
I mean, I feel like he's a pretty solid defensive player. He can he has the ability to have speed and be a big noise in the defensive system that the Sixers have, and uh, his he's a competitor offensively. Also, he can do kind of similar things to what Danny Green has done with the Sixers in the past, and I just think that having the addition with PJ Tucker, I think he's going to have a bigger momentum shift in his mind with everything going on offensively, and I think people are going to be surprised of how well Matisse is going to grow his game and continue to have the ability to have a big impact with this offense, and it's going to be very interesting to see how this offensive team plays out tonight in the next 81 games.
I like how you mentioned PJ Tucker. I think him and Melton, and I know they're two big time additions. I think the Sixers are going to be a very good defensive team, a potential to be one of the best in the league. So I think that's a good point about Thibault is he won't necessarily, when he is out there, he's not necessarily going to have to be locking up the best player every single time he's on the floor. So that'll allow him to maybe focus a little bit more on the offensive end and kind of get comfortable over there instead of being asked to just get thrown at some stud on the wing for stretches when he's on the floor. It can allow him to kind of ease into the game and just I mean, be a part of like he's got like locked in defensively. They're going to ask him to do that every single time, but when you have more great defenders around you, it can make it a little bit easier on you. So hopefully that can translate to him getting some confidence on the offensive end.
And I just want to mention, I'm definitely looking forward to watching this offense in person on Thursday at the home opener.
That'll be going. Who do they play Thursday?
The Bucks.
That's two fun couple of fun ones to get it started for you.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
never put too much stock into October games, but it's always good to see a team get off to some good performances. So definitely want to see some good things out of these two. It's probably the two other best teams in the East besides you guys. So getting right into it for you guys.
I know there's a doubleheader tonight, so I just wanted your initial thoughts on the Warriors Lakers matchup.
This one's interesting. The Lakers are they're always going to be talked about because they're the Lakers, but this is not the roster is not good. There are some pros to Westbrook if he is coming off the bench. I still haven't heard. I don't expect them to say anything till close to tip off for that situation. Maybe they do announce it sooner, but his situation will be interesting. But the starting lineup alongside LeBron James and Anthony Davis is not good. They have, I mean, some of these guys are decent, but like being asked to be big time starters. Patrick Beverly is a big addition to the team, I will say. He's given that another veteran, and those guys are always super helpful, but they don't. I mean, is Kendrick Nunn going to be that fifth starter? Assuming Beverly does start. Do they play Davis at the four for a lot more? Like you got Damian Jones at center, Thomas Bryant. Like, don't terrible players, but it's like you're asking these guys to play key roles on a team that wants to compete for championship. When you have two players as good as LeBron and AD, that's obviously a goal. It has to be. And right now, I don't think they're close to that. And I think Golden State's going to beat them pretty easily tonight. I do. I think the Lakers are really going to try to get Anthony Davis in a rhythm. LeBron and AD are really going to try to put on a show, I think. But I think Golden State's a little bit interesting. We saw the Draymond Green stuff, him punching Jordan Poole. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out. I don't see it being a huge issue or anything. I think they'll play well together. But I do expect Jordan Poole to have a big game for Golden State, and I think they'll win comfortably. personally.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch it tonight since we have a podcast to do, but I might stream it on the side of my laptop, so I'll be able to see some of it.
That's smart. Yeah, that's a good call. It's a good thing. It'll be interesting. It'll be an interesting game. A season opener is it's always so hard to predict,
Hmm.
especially because it's the Warriors that can celebrate for winning it all last year, ring
Hmm.
ceremony, all that good stuff. And then the Lakers, so many storylines around the Lakers, so many. It's just,
Hmm.
I personally want to see LeBron James and Anthony Davis get in the playoffs. Just, I want LeBron to get one more real shot at a deep
Yeah.
playoff run. And I Anthony Davis is as good of a second best player as you can have on a
Hmm.
contender, but they need more. They don't. When their championship teams they weren't great, but they had a lot of good role players on the wing, most notably. They have some good guards now. Like Westbrook and Beverly can fit, but you need wings because they don't have a lot of guys who can defend on the wing. So that's just so much on LeBron and Anthony Davis. And over the course of 82 game season, they can't. So
Hmm.
it'll be interesting to see how the night goes. You just got to start one game at a time. But the big thing for the Lakers is Anthony Davis. Can he stay healthy? Can he be that top 10 player in the league that we know he can be? And if he is, they got a chance to win tonight and win a lot of games this season.
Hmm. So, so moving on to when to tomorrow night, the Knicks against Grizzlies matchup. I know you're going to be very very interested in to see how this one plays out. What are your thoughts on going into this game?
Honestly, I'm kind of nervous going into this one. I think the Knicks are going to be a much improved team, but it's going to be interesting to see. Jalen Brunson was a big pickup for them. I think he really fits what they needed there. Obviously, not on a top point guard, but he's a really good player. And having a guy you can trust at the point guard spot is so big. And they have a good roster. And the Grizzlies just have a lot of moving parts. I mean, anytime you have Jaw and Desmond Bain, you're gonna have a chance to win. But a couple, Aaron Jackson injured, and they lost a couple key bench guys, Anthony Melton, Kyle Anderson. So it's gonna be interesting to see how the rotation goes. But on the flip side of that, they did bring back Tyus Jones, who's the best backup point guard in the league. A lot of people expected he would leave. He is back, which is big. So it's just going to be exciting to see. Brandon Clark just got his extension. They're really committing to locking up this core for the future. They re-signed Steven Adams recently, so he's sticking around. So just a lot of guys. But the big thing is this team loves playing together. They're young, and they'll win a lot of regular season games because of that. Just going out, playing hard, be interested to see how they defend. I watched the one preseason game. I really sat down and watched. Orlando Magic played some zone defense,
Hmm.
which really hurt us. And Jodge is like penetrating and just teams don't play a lot of zone to it for you sometimes. So be interested to see how many teams if any teams really try that against us. But a lot of different schemes defenses can go. But I expect John Morant to try and put on a show in the season opener. So I do expect to win, but I think it's going to be a very competitive ball game.
So I know ESPN is covering the Dallas Phoenix game as well tomorrow night. What are your thoughts on Luka going up against Chris Paul and Devin
That
Booker?
that, that game's going to be exciting. I have a lot. I don't think the Suns are going to be near as good as last year. Not even just
Hmm.
like wins wise. I don't think they're top team in the West anymore. The Nuggets are healthier. The Clippers are healthier. Like teams are passing the Suns. I think the Suns are going to have a big drop off this year, and just they have a lot of question marks because the whole DeAndre Ayton situation's kind of been quiet, but it's like, how is he really going to want to be here long
Hmm.
term? Will he be gone in a couple months once he's eligible to be traded? So that's a big storyline. But I mean, Devin Booker's still a special talent. Chris Paul's still really good. Can he stay healthy during the whole season? Seems unlikely, but we'll see. And just Mikal Bridges, I really like him. His development this season is going to be big for this team. He's one of the best defensive players in the league. He can take another step on the offensive end to become a legitimate two-way player who you can really rely on next to Devin Booker for the long-term future, that'll really open things up for this team. It's going to be a great matchup. Talk about Christian Wood's a big addition for the Mavericks. How's he going to fit in? I think he's going to fit in great offensively, but it's just how all these pieces are going to fit around Luka. They made the conference finals last year. How do you build on that? I don't think the team's a lot better, but anytime you have Luka and if some great pieces around him, it's going to be exciting to see. And I think the Mavericks are going to win that game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tight matchup, but I think Dallas wins that game.
Do you have that? Do you know where that game's at right now? I can look too.
It is.
I believe it's
Phoenix.
in Phoenix.
Yeah, it's at Phoenix.
Okay. Oh, and one other thing I forgot to mention, the Jay Crowder situation in Phoenix, and just he's. I haven't read a ton into it. I don't know if you've read a little bit more than me, but I was surprised when he wanted out. Like Phoenix, obviously I don't think they're a top team, but they were 67 games last year. The way they lost was brutal, but Crowder's a great role player for a contender, and him wanting out is interesting. And it's interesting to see where's he going to get traded. I don't think no team's in a rush to trade for him, nor are they in a rush to trade him away. So it's going to be interesting to see where he ends up. He's going to be a big addition to whichever team he ends up on. And I doubt he plays another game for Phoenix, but if they could convince him to try to return, which seems like a long shot. But it's going to be interesting to see how his storyline ends up too.
Yeah.
They just seem to have a lot of drama before the season starts. But that was expected after how last season ended. It wasn't going to be a pretty off season, but they're veterans. They made the finals and then they made the semis last year, and they know what it takes to win in the playoffs. They haven't gotten a championship, but they know what it takes. They've been deep, and they're veterans. They know how to put it together. So I'm sure they'll find a way to work together and make it work. But it's going to be interesting to see how they start the season, especially, I think.
So what are your thoughts on the Grizzlies' next two games?
I need to double check. Do we play?
I think
play Houston.
Yeah, Houston.
But then we do have Dallas in a few days after. Well, Houston's an interesting team. I think that should be an easy win for us. But I believe Saturday we play at Dallas, which is our third game of the season. That's a matchup I'm really excited to see. How can we match up against Luka Doncic and the Mavericks? Because they made the conference finals last year. If we want to win the West, compete for a championship, that's a team we're gonna have to be able to be in the playoffs, and finding a way to beat them early in the season super important too. Seeing how you match up against the other top teams in your conference early in the season is so crucial. You kind of see where you're at. From October to April, everything will change, but still a good measuring point early in the season to know what you can build on and what you can work on. And yeah, I think it's gonna be a fun matchup. And if the Grizzlies play well, they can beat anybody anywhere. So they just gotta take care of business, and we're really excited to see. But the one thing I haven't mentioned too much yet, Jaren Jackson Jr., he's gonna be out a little bit to start the season. A lot of injury issues with him, so hopefully he can come back and get healthy. But it's gonna be a lot of different moving pieces to who starts the power forward. It's gonna be Santi Aldama, most likely to start the season. Nice role player. They're going to bring Brandon Clark off the bench, and they just have a lot of moving pieces, and it'll be exciting to see how they all work together and how this rotation works out for the Grizzlies. But super excited for these couple of games to start the year, and we're going to see very quickly how some of these teams are, because the early starts are so crucial to getting high seeds later in the season. The Grizzlies were fortunate to still able to secure the 2 seed with a slow start last year, and I don't think they can afford that this year with how the West is shaping up. Because I believe we started 9-10 or something like that, and we went on a big run when Ja got hurt, which was crazy. But that won't happen again. No matter how confident we are without Ja on our depth, that won't happen. So, gotta find a way to get off to a better start this season if we want to compete for a top seed in the West.
Lastly, it's time for our predictions. So I'm gonna go first and uh, tell you my predictions. So I'm gonna start off with my MVP, which is Joel Embiid. Um, my most improved player is Tyrese Maxey. Uh, Defensive player of the year, Janate Murray. Rookie of the year, Keegan Murray. And coach of the year, Doc Rivers.
Okay. Giving you Sixers some love, I see. Definitely. But those are all realistic, though, I would say. I like, I'll just go, I'll just list mine off and then we can discuss them a little bit. That'll probably be better.
Okay.
But MVP, I also have Joel Embiid.
Mm-hmm.
I went back and forth with a couple different guys, but I think the Sixers are gonna have a good enough season where he can win it. And no one else really stands out to me MVP. And then most improved, I have Cade Cunningham. Defensive player of the year, Bam Adebayo. Rookie of the year, I have Paulo Banchero. And then coach of the year, I went Ty Lue.
Mm-hmm.
I like those. We could start MVP. Who else did you who else did you consider? Because you only think about Giannis, but I don't know how their regular season's gonna go for me. It just there's not a John Moran I considered, but I think the Grizzlies are gonna be a few like kind of in the middle of the pack in the Western playoff picture, so I didn't see that. So I think this is Joel Embiid's shot to really win it. I mean, last year maybe he should have
I
won it.
think
A lot of people thought so, but
maybe Donovan Mitchell is in the talks.
Donovan Mitchell, depending how the Cavs do, that's gonna be
Yeah,
interesting. He'll be high up there. Depending how he
yeah.
fits with Garland. Is he because he'll be the number one scorer, but they're just I think they're gonna be so deep across the board that the Cavs are gonna be interesting though. Maybe I should have went JB Bickerstaff coaching. Oh well. I like Ty Lue. I think the Clippers have a big year. I like Dark Rivers too. Maxi most improved, I can see it. I really like the DeJounte Murray Defensive Player of the Year. Guards don't get a lot, and I think that trend could start to flip and guards getting more Defensive Player of the Year awards. But obviously, I think Gobert is the most impactful regular season, but he's not actually the best. So I do like DeJounte Murray because I do think if like, the Hawks have been so bad defensively, DeJounte Murray is going to make such a huge impact on that team with how he can defend. So I do think he's a good candidate there and a good choice there. And then Keegan Moy for rookie of the year, I loved your pick. I went Paulo because I think the Magic are going to be much better than people think. I think also on the Kings, I think Keegan Moy is a really good fit in that starting lineup. I think so. I'm really interested to see how that whole pieces work together. And I think Keegan's going to have a huge year.
So, so anything else on your mind to add along?
Just ready to roll. It's going to be a fun. It's going to be a fun season. I don't know if I ever said this officially, but my official pick for tonight's game, I am picking the Sixers to win. I don't know if I actually came out and said that earlier. I think the Sixers win on the road to start the year, and the Warriors will beat the Lakers pretty clearly. But two great games tonight, and NBA season is going to be awesome.
I've been waiting more than enough time for tonight, and it's gonna be a fun ride.
It's gonna be epic. Can't wait.
Same.